Joelinton is a substitute on the bench, coming back after a two-match suspension. Manchester United are without the suspended Casemiro, so important in the cup final. So they have De Gea in goal, Dalot at right back, Wan-Bissaka's unwell, Varane and Martinez short left back, McTominay the goal man alongside Sabitzer in midfield, Antony and Rashford wide with Bruno Fernandes behind Wout Weghorst. As listeners to the BBC's World Service join us here on sunny Tyneside just in time for kick-off. This is 5 Live, Newcastle United against Manchester United. The referee Stuart Atwell, you heard his whistle, and Manchester United get us underway here, playing from left to right in the first half, so attacking the Leazes end to our right. And the names of the people on the huge flags that were put up at both ends of the ground before kick-off, they were the names of the people who paid for the flags. So that does make sense. Chris Waddle's alongside me here, former England international, former Newcastle man, and we're watching Dalot play the ball out from the back to the halfway line. He was put under pressure and the ball is allowed to bounce out of play. McTominay after it, but Botman was able to just make sure it went out for a throw to Newcastle halfway inside their own half. So Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0 in the first minute. Despite all of this sunshine, it's not the warmest. There is an edge of coldness in the spring air here. St Maximin going back to the edge of his own penalty area. Scher's pass was a little short to Botman, who was able to play it out of play off Antony for a throw-in to Newcastle United. Were you expecting, Chris Waddle, that maybe Joelinton would have been straight back into the team today?
I did. I think he's had a terrific season. But Newcastle are getting results, so if you get out the side, you've got to wait your turn to get back in, and Murphy's been doing okay. Here's
Murphy on the right-hand side. Almiron's out injured at the moment, and now Murphy approaches the penalty area, cutting in from the right-hand side, but he plays it back to Bruno Guimaraes, who curls a ball to Trippier on the right. Nice touch, immediately plays it. Longstaff trying to cross. It's blocked behind by Bruno Fernandes, and it's an early corner for Newcastle United. Excellent play from Newcastle down the right.
Yeah, good passing. It started a very quick tempo of the game, which we expected. But it's a corner. Every time I've been to St James's Park, Newcastle look ever so threatening the corners.
Murphy's going to take this from the right-hand side. So Dan Burn is up there from the back, of course, the big man, the biggest man on the field, 6'7", so he is a natural target, but Botman up as well, and Scher too. And actually it's been left the corner for Trippier to take. I did wonder. Here it is now to the near post. It's blocked away. McTominay got there first, and it bounces for Antony for Manchester United in the red shirts, white shorts, white socks. He runs it to the halfway line and he wins the throw-in off the shins of Willock, who was chasing him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the game, John, trying to think where this game will be decided today. I've got to say, I think it's on the flanks. I think Murphy, St Maximin, we know, very unpredictable player on his day, cannot stop him. Rashford in top form, and Antony on his day can cause a lot of problems. I think this is where it's going to be decided.
Manchester United take the throw back into their own half. Trippier with a heavy touch, but he was able to follow up and slide into the challenge, and Manchester United have got it back inside their own half. Sabitzer playing it all the way back to De Gea, who had to control that rather awkwardly, and Isak was arriving on the scene, but the Manchester United goalkeeper was able to control, played away. Bruno Fernandes with a pass with the outside of his boot down the left-hand side for Rashford. What a pass as well, and Rashford now running into the penalty area, but Newcastle had two men on him. Scher and Trippier did their work, and Newcastle are able to deal with it. It's blasted forward for Isak to race down the right-hand side. Varane's gone there across with him. Martinez comes in as well to put in the challenge to knock it out of play into the sunshine. All of those supporters who are still in the sunshine on the far side in the east stand, throwing to Newcastle down the right.
Great start. What a ball by Fernandes. Volley. What knee high down the side for Rashford, who was very unfortunate not to go between the centre-half Scher and Trippier to get a shot off on goal, but it started at a cracking pace.
Yeah, it's like a Mark Hughes style pass, wasn't it?
Yeah. From
Bruno Fernandes, sort of cushioned volley that was sweetly hit. I mean, could not have paced it any better. It's perfect for Rashford. So that's the first contest we've seen between Trippier and Rashford, the England colleagues, on that far side. McTominay now playing the ball back into his own half. Has to be absolutely brimming with confidence, Scott McTominay, after his 2 international matches. 4 attempts on goal, 4 goals. Here is St Maximin now running for Newcastle. Willock on the left-hand side as well with him. Willock angles it. That's asking an awful lot of Dan Burn, who can't get there, and Dalot is able to play it out off the legs of Burn as he arrives, and it's a goal kick in front of the Leazes end.
Well, I think Willock comes into this left-hand side quite a lot, and really, when you've got St Maximin playing, just leave that area. Go 20 yards inside of him if he needs to. He's got 2 on him, 3 on him. He might use the ball. He might need you inside. But Willock's gone on the outside of St Maximin. Obviously, they lose possession.
So, goal kick to Manchester United. After we've already brought you West Ham's dramatic win, actually 1-0 against Southampton earlier, which means that West Ham are out of the bottom 3. In fact, they're up to 14th, and Everton have now dropped into the bottom 3 as a result of that scoreline. 6:06 later, I'm sure you'll want to talk, if you're a Leicester fan, about the sacking of Brendan Rodgers today. But here's McTominay through the middle for Manchester United. It's blocked out to Sabitzer, and then a stretch from Willock in again against Sabitzer, and Newcastle with Bruno Guimaraes. He passes it forward, but Varane was able to step forward, prevented from reaching St Maximin. Sabitzer now with his hair tied up at the back of his head. Anthony beats Byrne. Anthony flicks it through to Sabitzer on the right. Sabitzer's ball across. That was blocked by a diving Botman, who did really well, actually, because it opened right up for Sabitzer on the right side of the penalty area, but Botman was quickly in, and Newcastle break away. Murphy on the right hand side. Murphy's got support there. Manchester United were quickly back into possession. Manchester United defending. Trippier with the cross deep to the back post, headed across by Isak, bounces down. Longstaff couldn't get the shot in. A flick from him. Bruno Guimaraes is in there, and then it fell to the feet after the block for Martinez, who was able to clear it away.
Oh, what a game, what a start to a football match this is. Anthony did brilliant. He should have shot from East a bit. He tried to pull it square. He should have shot.
Remember, Newcastle have still got the tightest defence this season in the Premier League. Just 19 goals conceded, although I should add to that the fact that they've actually not kept a clean sheet in their last 8 matches in all competitions. So just have leaked goals, but that was excellent work from Botman there. I mean, I thought Sabitzer was in to put the ball across, and suddenly Botman arrived on the scene.
Yeah, I think he should shot. I know it was an angle where sometimes if you don't hit the target, you don't score. People say you should square it, but for me, he was in a great position there to hit it early on as well in the game. But then you've got Longstaff, who does it so well this season, doesn't he? Arriving in the box, nobody picks him up.
What I was on 5 Live, what I was going to say to Steve Crossman before we had to go to the live interview with David Moyes, was that in actual fact, this Manchester United starting lineup today, 6 of them are not full internationals, which really is remarkable for a team that's operating, well, pushing for a place in the Champions League positions. And I think that's one indicator of where Newcastle currently are, and a number of them will go on, I'm sure, to become full internationals. But in time, if things continue to progress in the way that we expect, it will clearly be a team full of full internationals that will be playing for Newcastle United. But here's one of the internationals, very much tried and tested, 41 caps for England, after coming on as a substitute in Naples. Trippier, who takes this free kick into the edge of the area, free kick given on the edge of the box for a shove, maybe. It fell to Share in the end.
Botman was a Byrne, it was, who pushed Varane, so but they're very dangerous set pieces there, Newcastle.
So it is a free kick to Manchester United, who've not lost in their last 7 matches in all competitions against Newcastle United. Remember, it was the 0-0 in the league earlier this season at Old Trafford, which led to Eric Ten Hag describing Newcastle as annoying. As the ball bounces back to De Gea, passing it out from the back, the crowd, the Geordie crowd, trying to do its best to put pressure on David De Gea. They'll all be well aware of the fact that sometimes he can be uncomfortable when it's played back to him, which it is now by Martinez, but he passes it out to the far side. Bruno Fernandes is there, long pass from him. Oh, another brilliant pass, but it just doesn't bounce to Rashford, because Share was able to come across, and Share's now got it in his own right back position where it's passed forward, but Manchester United head it forward back into the path of Bruno Guimaraes, gives it out here towards the Newcastle left, and then Bruno Guimaraes put under pressure by McTominay, and then all the way back towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, and now they're knocking it around in front of their own box, in front of the Gallagate end. Up it goes to Isak, but Martinez was in too tight, fouled him, says referee Atwell, and it's a free kick to Newcastle United. Isak is still down, so while he's down, let's get an update from the day's match in the Women's Six Nations, England-Italy. Nicola Goodwin.
It's 58-5 here. The 10th try was by Marley Packer, captaining today from the back row, and they seem to be enjoying themselves a lot more in the second half. The crowd certainly are. So 10 tries already. It's England 58, Italy 5.
And in the Champions Cup, latest scores: Saracens 23, Ospreys 20, Toulouse 33, Bulls 9, after it finished Exeter 33, Montpellier 33 earlier. 0-0 between Newcastle United and Manchester United, and now Dan Burn stepping forward, shoulder to shoulder with Anthony, must be about a foot and a half taller than him. And then Newcastle move it to the right hand side. This is slick from them. Trippier's ball infield, Murphy can't get there, and now Luke Shaw in his own left back area is challenged by Murphy, who does ever so well to win a throw-in off the Manchester United and England left back. Throw-in is taken quickly, and then in slides Longstaff, ball bounces behind. Martinez was right there. Referee says goal kick, Manchester United.
Yeah, looking at the game, I know it's early on, John, you just want Newcastle at times to slow down. It's so fast, but everything they're trying to do so quick. You know, the tempo of the game's so high, and it's very difficult to keep that up for a period of time. But sometimes when Newcastle get possession, they need to slow it down, bide the time a little, have an extra couple of passes.
So it is a goal kick to Manchester United, and again De Gea is taking a long time over the taking of this, and Newcastle are onto this. And I think if it was the referee who refereed England against Italy last week, I think De Gea would already be booked in this match. He was right on the time wasting. Shaw playing the ball in from the left hand side. Weghorst nods it back. McTominay's up there as well. But also for Newcastle was Botman, who was able to move into position and just pass it away. And then Bruno Guimaraes, lovely footwork from him to beat Wout Weghorst. They enjoyed that, the home supporters, as it's played up to the halfway line. Varane got there first and chips it forward and out of play.
The crowd cheer was for a nutmeg
by Guimaraes on Bruno Fernandes?
No, it was
Weghorst.
Oh, there's another one on Burn.
There is. And Anthony's away from Burn to the edge of the box. Weghorst shoots into the side netting from the right side of the box. That was another opening for Manchester United. Lovely from Anthony.
Brilliant by Anthony. I like to see him do that more. Simply as he gets the ball and he does all his tricks, but he doesn't go anywhere and he just lays the ball up there. Lovely nutmeg on Dan Burn, wasn't it? And Weghorst did the right thing. Unfortunately, he didn't hit the target.
And did you see the two of them as Anthony and Dan Burn were just walking away together? Anthony patted him on the back. There was a little acknowledgement from Dan Burn.
It's a long way to go, by the way.
You can just imagine Anthony going.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's keep an eye on that one.
Yeah.
That is David and Goliath, those two. As the goal kick is taken by Nick Pope, who slips. It is Newcastle 0, Manchester United 0. Long pass from the back from Martinez. This bounces into the path of Anthony. Here we go, Anthony and Dan Burn again. Anthony tries to go around the outside. Burn stretching, just about stopped him. Comes back to Dalot. Deep cross from him to the back post. Trippier, who's underneath it, heads it away, and Rashford will allow it to run out of play for a throw to the visitors on the left hand side, 10 or 12 yards back from the corner flag. Luke Shaw looks as though he's agreed a new contract, as has been widely reported this week. Manchester United have not yet confirmed the signing of it, but seems straightforward, that decision, as Anthony now twists away from Burn just in front of us, and he's gone down off the pitch, Anthony, claiming that he's been caught by Burn.
No, sorry, not from me. At first he wanted the free kick. Oh no.
Wow. He's put his hand on the back of his head. He put one hand on his chest, Dan Burn, and another on the back of his head. And Anthony is.
He should play the game, John. He's off the pitch. Play on.
Yeah.
This is a great battle already, by the way, Anthony and Burn. Fantastic. Anthony's winning it at the minute. Oh look, he's up. You know what, that sponge, I don't know what they're putting in it. Say what, they should sell them by the thousands, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Dubonnet and lemonade.
So I don't know what it is. Miracle cure.
Dalot with the ball on the halfway line. And you're right, Chris. Play could have resumed there. Anthony was off the pitch.
I think he said he's going to resume it. He jumped up and ran on.
Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. That's Chris Waddle with us. It's 5 Live Premier League Sunday. BBC World Service with us as well. Listen also, if you're on the move on this lovely afternoon, via BBC Sounds. Just look for 5 Live on BBC Sounds. Here's Byrne now carrying the ball forward. Sabitzer comes across. Here's St Maximin on the left hand side. St Maximin then twists up against Sabitzer, ponytail bobbing, and then infield from St Maximin, Bruno Guimaraes pass to the edge of the area. Murphy, nice touch. Longstaff chips it across to the back post. Varane got his head to it first. St Maximin couldn't get the bouncing ball under control. He's got it down now on the St James's Park pitch, and now infield still going. St Maximin being followed all of the way by Dalot, plays it across square to Bruno Guimaraes just outside the D. A flick from Murphy, and then it breaks down. Manchester United bring it away. They're claiming that Bruno Guimaraes was fouled late there. The referee, I'm not sure if he saw it. If he did, he decided that the play had gone, and Bruno Guimaraes has run towards the referee and stopped, and then given a shoving motion.
I don't
with his
think
hands.
the ref saw it, to be fair. I think he followed the ball, but it's a cracking game, by the way. High tempo, end to end.
Newcastle come again, still 0-0. Ball played down the right for Murphy. Murphy with a clip, headed by and saved by De Gea. Comes out for St Maximin, but Dalot got there first. Good save by David De Gea, who got it well. Was it Isak in the middle with a header?
Yeah, it was. I mean, so easy. There was no pressure on the ball. It was so easy when Newcastle put it in the box, stood it up. He should score. It's a great reaction saved by De Gea, but he should score.
Excellent work from Murphy, and here he is again. Murphy in the box, playing it. It's deflected right across the 6-yard box, and it's picked up by De Gea. So there we are. This high tempo, all action start to the start of this match, and there's the first save. Isak, who got up there, and the follow-up as well. So Isak with the initial header, he's 5 yards out. De Gea diving to his right made the save. It took a deflection back into the path of the goalkeeper, and it's actually a double save.
Willock with a rebound should score. They should score on that. Good chance. It's a cracking game, as I say. Both teams are not sitting back.
And now Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes through the middle, but Newcastle cut that out, and Bruno Guimaraes is bringing it forward. We are going to go to the Super League match in a moment, but it's all action here. Still 0-0. On the right hand side, Murphy, high crossfield pass, and Alan St Maximin chests it down. St Maximin now approaching Dalot, still going, cuts to the right, back onto his right, goes for the curling shot, and De Gea goes down to his left to save, and he'll hold on to it. So I think we can now safely bring in Dave Woods from Salford.
Salford 16, Huddersfield 26, a full-time score. Neither at their sparkling best, but a couple of tries for Owen Trout, helping Huddersfield to a deserved win. They leap up to 6th position, overtaking Salford in the table. Salford 16, Huddersfield 26.
Incidentally, the current choice of listening on Sports Extra is the Champions Cup Rugby Union match between Saracens and Ospreys. So that is on 5 Live Sports Extra right now, where Saracens lead Ospreys by 30 points to 20. And Bruno Fernandes up to the edge of the penalty area to the right to Anthony. Anthony's left-footed ball across has fizzed all the way across the penalty area and beyond the far post for a goal kick.
That was a shot, John. He's trying to get it on his left foot, and we've seen him do it many times, hasn't he? Bend it for that far post, and fortunately he's not hit it right, and it's gone well wide for the goal kick. But both teams wanting to win this football match. There's no park in the bus today.
Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. Great demand for this match, 4:30 match on a Sunday afternoon. So we're not in our usual seats, are we, Chris? Here we're a couple of seats further down.
Not in the same car park neither.
Ball down the right, out comes De Gea to put it out of play. And our little television here, which is underneath the top of the desk, I'm like a contortionist trying to see the screen. As Newcastle, let's keep our eyes on the live action in front of us. Isak plays it across. Willock now to the left hand side to St Maximin. St Maximin, corner of the area, goes right, left, back onto his left, pulls it across, and it's deflected off a defender. Sure, no. The referee says the final touch was Longstaff, who put it wide, just wide of the post by a foot or so. Goal kick, Manchester United.
Well, I get a lot of joy. I said today, for me, it's the flanks. It's definitely down this side. Anthony for Man United, and St Maximin's come into the game now, getting a lot of one-on-ones with that, and it's just a whip cross in his left foot, St Maximin, and Longstaff header wide.
I think he might have been offside.
Might have been, yeah, but down this side, a lot of joy for the two wingers.
Yeah, I think if that had ended up in the back of the net, it may well have been ruled out. However, still 0-0, and there's a trip by Bruno Guimaraes on Sabitzer, who came in at pace had his legs whipped away from him, went tumbling down, and it's the free kick to Manchester United. Yeah, there's a bit of feeling in this after the cup final so recently, just a few weeks ago. Newcastle looking quite different actually from the team that played in the cup final. Wilson started that, Almiron was fit for that, Joe Linton played, and of course Karius was in goal that day. Loris Karius, who's returned to the St James's Park shadows since then. Dubravka's on the bench. I'm not sure we've ever actually established, have we, if he has got a medal from Manchester United for winning the Carabao Cup, even though he's a Newcastle United player.
We've got to find that out.
Here's Willock down the left-hand side to Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin running free, now cuts in field, into the box, and then plays it across and couldn't find the pass to the arriving Bruno Guimaraes. He's in a box of tricks mood today, Alain Saint-Maximin.
He is. At the end of the day, he's going to be judged on efforts on goal, chances created, whatever. And what we've saw so far is a couple of decent balls in. That time, that was his best position. Exactly, he had more time than he's had in the game, and he wasted it.
20 minutes have been played here. 20 minutes of full-blooded hurly-burly at St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0, and Manchester United are taking their time whenever they can just to try and quell the atmosphere, although that's not succeeding because Newcastle are straight onto them. And of course that's the sort of thing, you know, what Eric Ten Hag said about Newcastle United, the annoying thing. And now they've come here, Manchester United, and we saw it in the Carabao Cup final as well, didn't we? That they're trying to do the same thing, just frustrate Newcastle.
What they're doing is they're waiting for Newcastle to run out of steam, and the way Newcastle are playing, I'm going to half an hour and they will come off the pace, and then that's where Man United come into the game.
And now Byrne and Anthony again. Byrne was all over the back of Anthony, who went to ground.
I think there's only one winner there.
And Dan Byrne's saying that I hardly touched him. You can tell, you can almost, we're close enough here to be able to see that and lip read it. Anthony has won the free kick. Dan Byrne's been spoken to, absolutely towering over Stuart Atwell. Looks like something out of Monty Python. And still they talk to one another. So we've got a stoppage here, and it is full time in the England-Italy Six Nations match. Nicola Goodwin.
And if you can hear me above the 13,000 strong crowd, it was a 12 trial fest at the end for England. England 68, Italy 5.
Thank you, Nicola. That's been on BBC Two, by the way, if you want to catch up on that on the iPlayer. And now here's Varane as Dan Byrne was sent away. And we are now just into the second quarter of the match. And that's been top billing, I think, Dan Byrne against Anthony in terms of head-to-head contests in this game. Score still 0-0. Weghorst had a chance for Manchester United, shot into the side netting. We had the double save from De Gea from the Isak header, and Willock's follow-up. And now Sabitzer is taking it on for Manchester United down the left-hand side. Rashford is there, informed Rashford, back from injury, back from New York. Rashford, 27 goals now, his best ever goal scoring season for Manchester United. Shaw playing it in field. Luke Shaw then gets it back and will play it all the way back.
Man United's doing it. The same. It's exactly like watching the cup finals. They just take the time. Newcastle, a lot of energy, and then they, after half an hour, come off the pace, and that's where you see Man United get a lot more attacks.
As Rashford steps back and plays the ball back in field, but that's a foul by Bruno Fernandes. And Newcastle United win a free kick just all over the back of Longstaff, who went tumbling down, wins a free kick out to the right.
Yeah, get it in the box. Two centre halves, well, left back Byrne, isn't he? Botman, Shea, all big, good in the air.
So Trippier prepares to take this, just clears a little bit of something from the toe of his boot, and then this usual routine that we see from Trippier, picks the ball up and then he'll bend over and just place it on the ground. Manchester United holding a very high line, considering the free kick is halfway inside the half from the right. Trippier makes a false start, then comes back, delivery deep to the back post. That's headed away though comfortably for Manchester United by Dalot. Out to Saint-Maximin though. Saint-Maximin taps it to his left and forward to Bruno Guimaraes, back to Saint-Maximin. Now Cher is there as well, and then Cher square to Willock, and now to the right to Murphy. Murphy on that patch of the pitch where there are still streaks of sunshine. In it comes from the right hand side, chested back to the edge of the box, and the arriving Willock rather snatched at it as he arrived on it, and the shot went high and well wide actually behind.
It was Murphy, I think. Just drops it down front, go and invite him to hit it. He's half volleyed it well wide left, right of the goal. But Man United pacing themselves. Yes, Newcastle have dominated this first period so far. Man United look dangerous, they've lost it again, but trying to really slow the game down. Newcastle at the minute playing a terrific tempo. I don't know how long they can keep it up.
Yeah, this time Longstaff it was closing down Shaw, and there you did see the effect actually, because Manchester United didn't waste too much time with that last goal kick. Whether they have been firmly told, maybe Bruno Fernandes by the referee, that they need to get on with it. So Manchester United breaking forward. Here they go with Dalot now making good ground. Guimarães and St Maximin with him, and then Dan Burn leans into Rashford, who went down, and Rashford has stood up, show that he's knocked his boot off. Rashford has now stood up and thrown his boot to the ground in frustration. Erik ten Hag's pointing and making his views clear to the referee, and indeed the fourth official as well, just down in front of us, and they are adamant that Rashford was fouled there by Dan Burn. No free kick given. Newcastle continue to come forward in the other half, and Bruno Guimarães in little challenge by McTominay, and then Murphy. Bruno Guimarães went down late. He might have been caught late there by McTominay off the ball. Referee's allowing it to go, and then Trippier's in very firmly on Anthony, who's just swapped to the left hand side for the time being, and it's out for a throw.
He wasn't going to give the Guimarães one because he didn't give the Rashford one. He thought I didn't give that one, so 1-1. But to be fair, looking at it from here, John, I didn't think it was a foul on Rashford, even though he threw his butt to the ground.
Point made though. So Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0, and let's get the news on what is another glorious day for Bolton Wanderers at Wembley Stadium. Henry Moran.
Full time, Bolton 4, Plymouth 0, 2 goals in each half, enough for a side who just 4 years ago so nearly went out of business, a century on from their famous FA Cup win at the old Wembley. Close to 80,000 here, the highest attendance in Europe this weekend, watching Bolton win the Papa John's Trophy.
Highest crowd in Europe.
That's amazing, isn't it? Unbelievable.
I wonder how close it is to the highest crowd in the world this week.
Well, somebody now will be typing into somewhere asking that.
So almost 80,000 at Wembley, and that is amazing.
How many stadiums are bigger than 80,000 in the world that were used this weekend?
Yeah, good point. So Barcelona must be away this weekend. Rashford playing it forward, and it bounces forward for Botman, who's able to play it away. And now Burns got a little bit of space, plays the ball down the line, but St Maximin won't reach that. And Dalot plays it back to goalkeeper De Gea. So yeah, I'm sure that on 5 Live on 606 on the phone in, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will definitely want to be hearing from Bolton Wanderers fans after that. And amazing really, 100 years on from the first cup final at Wembley Stadium, the FA Cup final in 1923, that Bolton Wanderers have gone back there and won the cup final. Amazing. Incidentally, a new book out this week, Field of Dreams by Nige Tassel, which is an excellent looking book, which has stories about many of the big games at Wembley over the last 100 years, so keep an eye out for that. Here's Varane, who plays the ball back to Dalot in the right back area, who will pass it back to De Gea on the edge of his own penalty area. Feels like almost the first lull in the game. Still 0-0. Sabitzer playing it forward.
It's very hard, John, to keep that pace up. Newcastle have just slightly come off it now. Man United basically have sat deep the whole first half, having to invite Newcastle on, trying to hit them on the break. They've had a couple of moments. It's all been Newcastle in possession. But Man United have dealt with them very, very well. And now they're feeling the pace.
And there's a foul given Newcastle's way on the halfway line for McTominay's challenge. Bruno Guimarães. He doesn't look best pleased with referee Atwell, does he? The referee was talking to him and he was kind of turning his head the other way. St Maximin now is leaned into by Dalot, and that's a free kick on the halfway line. And St Maximin climbs to his feet and walks away. So a free kick that Dan Burn is going to leave to St Maximin, who passes it back to him. Newcastle going backwards to the edge of their own penalty area. Botman knocking it across the box to goalkeeper Pope. Right-footed ball forward from him. Pope, who's not kept a clean sheet in his last 7 appearances, flicks the ball now, Martinez to his left to Varane, and Manchester United with it in the centre circle with Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes is knocking it back into his own half. In the Women's Super League, latest is Leicester City 2, Reading 1. That was the 3 o'clock kickoff today. Sports Extra later will have commentary on Aston Villa against Chelsea in the Women's Super League. Arsenal beat Manchester City 2-1 earlier, Everton 2, Tottenham 1. The highlights are on tonight in the Women's Football Show on BBC One after Match of the Day 2, where you'll see highlights of this. No goals yet, but Willock bring it forward for Newcastle, giving it to St Maximin to his left. Now back to Willock, curls a shot, deflected though, wide, well wide of goal and behind. And corner.
You know what, Newcastle get the final third, John. It looks like they're all reluctant to pull the trigger or shoot, or there's lack of confidence in front of goal or what, but they all seem to pass each other and think, you do it. Willock there really didn't fancy that at all. He's got a corner out of it.
Newcastle with this excellent defensive record this season, but they've not scored more than 2 goals in any match since Boxing Day. Corner from the right. Again, Trippier just does that little bounce of the ball on the ground, then places it in the quadrant. The huge, towering Lees' end, and the Manchester United fans at the top behind. Trippier takes this now high to the back post, headed away by Varane, doesn't clear the penalty area, so no messing from Shaw, just volleys it, whacks it straight out of play for a throw.
Got to be a free kick on the goalkeeper, that, hasn't it?
Standing with his hands on his hips.
He cannot move. He's
De Gea now putting both hands in the air, looking at the referee. Throw-in taken for Newcastle, still 0-0. Willock out to the right hand side, little ball infield from Trippier, now out to Murphy on the right. Murphy has done well in recent matches. Jacob Murphy, who's been he's been a substitute more often than he started a match this season. The Newcastle United number 23 started 10 matches now, come on as a substitute in 23, but in for the injured Almiron, and he's looked bright. Newcastle out from the back, Trippier playing it forward, Longstaff is there. Longstaff, who has gone down under the challenge of Martinez, and eventually the free kick is given Newcastle's way. Rashford got involved as well. Quick free kick taken by Newcastle. Trippier, Longstaff's over the halfway line, over there on the far side. Trippier making ground ahead of him to his right. Longstaff instead comes into Bruno Guimaraes, rather bounced up from him, so he went back to Longstaff. Now Trippier again on the right hand side. Bruno Guimaraes then lifts it forward, sort of scooped it forward, but Martinez was able to deal with that on the edge of the box, and Manchester United have got it back. The bearded Bruno Fernandes brings it forward again, touch from Sabitzer, then Rashford inside his own half. He curls the ball forward from Bruno Fernandes, returns the favour that he's received several times in this match, and Bruno Fernandes with a cross to the back post, shot from Dalot, it's deflected off Botman, but that took the pace off it, and it looped up above Pope's head, and he was able to catch it.
Fantastic movement by Man United there. Rashford's pass to Fernandes on that left hand side, gets it just outside the corner in your box, and it's lovely way across here. Dalot should have done better there.
Willock was actually in a tight position there, Willock, with some nice footwork, took it away from Sabitzer. Still Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0 from the BBC on 5 Live in the World Service. And here's St Maximin forward of the halfway line, playing it to the left hand side to Willock. It's Willock up against Sabitzer this time. Willock still going, shoots low, takes a deflection which took it across the box, could have gone anywhere, but it ran into the path of Martinez, and then Wout Weghorst is all over the back of Botman, and he went down, and the referees played an advantage. Byrne took it forward, that was comical. And now Guimaraes forward from Trippier. Murphy just outside the box, Murphy turning, Martinez has gone with him, and he's run the corner. Murphy off the shins of the Argentine. Corner to Newcastle.
I say Newcastle's dominated possession, and they've got round the box on numerous occasions, apart from the one save from De Gea. They've really troubled the goal. Man United have dealt with them very well.
Corner taken short this time. Murphy then to Longstaff, back out to Trippier. Trippier's ball across from the right is headed away by McTominay. No one back there, and Willock had to get there ahead of Anthony, but he did. And so Newcastle will go all the way back to Pope in the goal to our right. So still 0-0. Last time Newcastle beat Manchester United was the game when Matty Longstaff scored the goal on his Premier League debut in front of the Gallagate end. He was here for that one. He nearly took the roof off the Gallagate end, that one, but that was back in 2019. Ball in field. Here now, Murphy carrying it forward, left-footed, that's nice to Isak, left foot shot, but that's blocked inside the penalty area by Varane, and it bounces out for McTominay, who will bring it forward and pass it to the feet of Rashford here on the right hand side again. Rashford turning it one way and the other. Byrne, who's seen off Anthony, now he's got to take on Rashford, and Byrne tackles back and puts it out of play. You enjoyed that, Dan Byrne?
I loves it, didn't he? He's very passionate. Geordie boy, playing for his home team, loves it.
And it has finished Saracens 35, Ospreys 20 in the Sports Extra commentary match in the Champions Cup. So Manchester United with Varane, still 0-0. Varane bringing it forward and then playing it to Anthony, who's now appeared again on the right hand side up against Byrne, left-footed early cross this time towards Bruno Fernandes. Trippier was retreating, got up well actually and headed it away, prevented it from reaching Bruno Fernandes, but Manchester United fortunate, get it back. Varane's pass to the edge of the area, that was dealt with by Newcastle, who will bring it away. St Maximin though sliding, pass from Longstaff was behind him, couldn't get there, deflected it out. Manchester United with a throw, half-time approaching, 10 minutes to go. Remember, Manchester United was in the latter period of the first half in the Carabao Cup final, wasn't it, where they scored those 2 goals to take charge. And we're into the last 10 minutes of this match now in the Premier League here at St James's Park on this sun-kissed Tyneside afternoon. Sabitzer playing a pass to Rashford into the area. Bruno Fernandes, challenge from Cher. Bruno Fernandes has gone to ground saying that Cher fouled him inside the box, but Cher has played it into Bruno Fernandes and it's bounced behind for a goal kick.
Well, to me it looked a very good challenge. He comes through, I'm sure they'll be looking at it. Well, to me it looks like he plays the ball. Yes, he does. In my eyes he does.
Bruno Fernandes has not
got the best screen in front of him, let's be honest. Yeah, he's played the ball. Now he's arguing, he's up.
And now Bruno Fernandes is having words with Cher. And Bruno Fernandes, something's been said there, and Bruno Fernandes is running away to the referee now with his palms apart, and he's still talking to the referee, puts both hands to his temples, turns away. There's a little hop from him. Not sure what that was about, but that was from they were talking to one another at close quarters.
I wonder if Cher said, yeah, I did kick you. Sure no footballer would do that, Chris. Oh yes, I couldn't, because I never kicked anybody, but
of course not. Saint Chris of Wattle with us at St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. So we've got 2 Saints and the Pope. As the ball bounces away, Botman will bring it over the halfway line for Newcastle United. St Maximin now running at Manchester United's defence. Right-footed ball square. Longstaff, right foot. Oh, close to the top corner.
Tell you what, he's got goals in him. He's been in the box 3 or 4 times now. He scored today. He's not frightened to go forward. This is a tremendous strike. 20 yards, 25 yards. Oh, that De Gea dives, but he wouldn't have got near that. Probably a yard or 2 past the post, but he's definitely got a goal in him, Longstaff.
So goal kick to Manchester United, and as you can hear, it's not been taken yet. That was an excellent right-footed effort from Longstaff. That was inches wide of the top left corner, or centimetres if you prefer. Leicester City have beaten Reading by 2-1 in the Women's Super League. 0-0 here in the Premier League. We'll have more on West Ham's 1-0 win against Southampton at half-time. Celtic 2-0 winners at Ross County in the lunchtime kick-off, so that is 15 wins in a row now for Celtic. Here's Longstaff, long pass forward as he falls, but Dalot was underneath that to head it out here to the right-hand side. Flick from Anthony, nice into the path of Dalot. Dalot's able to take it on, right-footed ball, right across the edge of the 6-yard box. Rashford went tumbling down inside the area, but referee Atwell immediately motioned that there was no contact there, or at least nothing worthy of a penalty, and it's out for a throw.
Well, look at it. Trippier seems to just run into Rashford and thinks he's not getting on the end of this. It's a terrific move, lovely flick. You could see it coming. Burn got drawn in and you knew Anthony was going to do that little flick, and he did. It was a great ball across the box. Nobody's complaining.
And if we have to bend our heads again and see if they're having a look at that again, which I'm sure they will have done. Yeah, it's been dismissed and the throw-in is taken. Again, this tiny television that we've got, which is about 6 inches square here, it's under the sort of roof of the commentary position that we're in. So it's like when you and I look at it, we always put our heads together. It's like trying to get into a cardboard box together, isn't it? As Isak has got the ball on the halfway line, passes it forward to St Maximin. St Maximin now up to the edge of the box. Defenders are there, still going. Left-footed ball right across, and then it's blazed high and wide by the arriving Willock, who puts his hands on his face and knows he had the chance there to give Newcastle the lead against Manchester United and wasn't able to take it.
Great counter-attack. You've got to give St Maximin credit here. Drives at the defence. They all get round him, don't they? It's a quick break. Out it goes to St Maximin. Isak gives him it, and away they go. And St Maximin drives Man United back, squares it across. Willock comes in, 8 yards out. Oh, he's just got to hit the target. He scores. Just got to hit the target.
Goal kick, which Manchester United eventually take. Martinez came back to take it for De Gea, passes it out very close to Isak, but he did find his teammate Varane. Still 0-0 if you've just joined us here on this Sunday afternoon, when you may well have been out enjoying the springtime sunshine after this grey, miserable, rainy week that we've had. Varane forward to Anthony down the right, black and white stripes chasing him, 3 of them, and he's played it off. Well, it was either Bruno Guimaraes or Burn, and it's behind for Manchester United's first corner of the match, incidentally. Corner from the right in front of the Gallagate end, with 4 minutes of the first half to go plus added time. So at the break we'll hear more on West Ham's win against Southampton, more on Celtic's win against Ross County. We'll hear more perhaps as well on Bolton's win in the Papa John's Trophy final at Wembley, and all the other sport as well that's been happening this afternoon. But a corner for Manchester United. Shaw to take this. Luke Shaw with his now customary socks halfway down his calves, Grealish-like. Shaw plays it into the back post, and then Anthony on the volley. A sort of fly kick volley with his left foot, but wide of the target and into the Gallagate end. Goal kick.
Eddie Howe, I'm not really pleased with that. Just before half time, wasn't it? Just a basic corner. He stands up the far post. There's nobody near Anthony, and he gets a free volley on his left foot, which really he should be trying at least hit the target for me.
Nick Pope's not had to make a save, has he? So far, I've got the Weghorst shot early into the side netting, and that one there from Anthony. Whereas at the other end, De Gea, that very good save, actually, double save from Isak and Willock. Longstaff going close with his shot. Willock should have done better with his. Chris Waddle here with us, 62 caps for England, once Britain's most expensive footballer, and we're watching St Maximin now. St Maximin taking on Dalot, but then cuts back, then goes again on his left foot, back onto his right, now to the edge of the box. Isak with a shot, that's blocked, back to Isak, shouts for handball, it bounces down, referee's not interested, and Sabitzer is bringing it away for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes now in between 2 Newcastle players. It's Anthony up against Burn again, all eyes on these 2, but Anthony has a look at him and then turns and gives it back to Dalot on the halfway line. Varane in his black gloves. I did say there was a bit of a chill in the air. Varane, then a high pass out to Anthony, who, that's a poor touch from Anthony. Wasn't able to get it under control, which is unlike him, and it's out for a throw.
Yeah, he's had a good first half though, and he's been the best outlet for Man United down the straight hand side. Not seen a lot of Weghorst, and Rashford a couple of occasions, but not a lot. You've got to say Newcastle have been a better team in the first half, but they do play the tempo, Newcastle, where Man United seem to manage a game very well.
0-0. Anthony now with the outside of his boot trying to find McTominay. Bruno Guimaraes was there, bounces for McTominay. Might have been a handball from McTominay as it bounces forward and through. And I think he knew it actually, McTominay, and it's through for a goal kick. So Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0 on this Sunday afternoon. Next Sunday afternoon, Liverpool against Arsenal. That's what you'll hear at this time next week. And also this time next week, the skies will be like this in Augusta, Georgia, I would hope, because we will bring you commentary live from the Augusta National on all 4 rounds, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Mark Chapman will be there with us at the Augusta National, and we'll have a big preview programme as well on Wednesday night. Lots of midweek football as well mixed in with that, and also Thursday evening we've got commentary on the finalissima, the women's finalissima between England and Brazil at Wembley. So that is on Thursday night on 5 Live. Half-time approaching. We're in the last minute of the first half. We'll see the fourth official, Michael Salisbury, in a moment or two, but Jason Tyndall and Eddie Howe are in discussions down there on the edge of the 6-yard area. No goals so far. So many of the matches here at St James's Park this season have been tight affairs. We've actually drawn 5 matches in the Premier League here this season, Newcastle, but just the one defeat, that defeat against Liverpool. Their only defeat in their last 18 home matches in all competitions. Manchester United clear it away on the edge of the box.
The official has indicated a minimum of 1 minute stoppage time to be added.
There you are.
1 minute.
From the echoing public address system at St James's Park. Ball's out of play for a throw-in to Manchester United, level with the edge of their own penalty area. As Chris Waddle's been saying, the tempo has been almost relentless in this first half. Shaw takes the throw to McTominay. McTominay then back to Shaw, who passes it forward to Sabitzer, who also was one of the players doubtful for this match after a problem on international duty with Austria. He goes down. He was just a little trip in there by Longstaff. Free kick, Shaw to take. 15 seconds of the minute to play. Sabitzer goes back to the edge of his own penalty area. 0-0 between the sides when they met in the Premier League earlier this season at Old Trafford, and still no goals between them in the league. Dalot infield to Varane, long and left-footed from him, and that's it for the first half. 0-0, and entertaining, Chris Waddle, despite the lack of goals.
I've enjoyed it. Newcastle caught the blocks very quick. Man United looked dangerous on the counter-attack. Newcastle had a lot of possession. Just maybe had a couple of more passes, slow it down on occasion, and definitely in the box have a little bit of composure. But Man United carry that threat. You can see Man United nicking a goal on the break, but it's been an excellent first half.
So there we are, here at St James's Park. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0.
Heck of a half for a 0-0 though, Chris. Pretty wasteful in front of goal, mind you.
Yeah, well, that's the unfortunate. I mean, you're looking at it, it could be 3-2, 3-1. Newcastle's had glorious chances, great chances. Man United have had a couple themselves. You just look at Man United and they seem to be managing the game a lot better. They take the sting out of it, they slow it down. Newcastle just play one speed all the time, and it takes it out of them. You can see the last 10 minutes here, Newcastle come off the pace. Second half they'll probably come off with 15-20 to go, and that's where the subs will be key. But Man United, they're good at managing games, and they'll know what Newcastle's about. Newcastle need to score goals, and this has been the big problem. Yes, they score 1 or 2, and they've got a great record here, but they don't score enough goals when they get the chances.
Were any of those Newcastle misses glaring?
Yeah, I think Willock should have scored, at least hit the target. This is the main thing. It's very easy for somebody to say score. Football's not like that, and you have to accept sometimes that nobody's perfect, and if you took every chance, what would the score be? But there's occasions at this level of football where you actually think at least hit the target, and both teams at times have been poor for that.
It's all rolled on by the fans, John Murray, isn't it? They're setting the tempo in the stands.
They are, and the interesting subplot to this is this whole feeling that there's a bit of niggle between Manchester United and Newcastle now after what was said by Eric Ten Hag about them being annoying. So we've seen lots of periods in the first half where Manchester United have tried to slow it down, and the Newcastle United fans are immediately onto them. So there's that going on as well.
Always used to be the case that as well. I don't mind a little bit of edge between these two, Chris.
No, it's a big fixture. Newcastle Man United, it always has. The atmosphere is brilliant. The tempo of the game was great, and listen, first goal, as they say, it's a cliche in it. First goal is so important, but there should have been goals. It's people look at the result who haven't been watching this or listening to it, will be thinking, oh, so teams constantly turn out. It's not been like that. This has been a very good first half, good level of football.
Chris, John, thank you very much indeed. Chris Waddle, John Murray at St James's Park. Great first half, that. No goals. Newcastle 0, Manchester United 0. Of course, we'll bring you second half commentary. We've got reaction on the way shortly as well to West Ham's win over Southampton, which has lifted them out of the bottom three. We'll hear from West Ham keeper Lucas Fabianski and the Southampton manager Ruben Selles. Southampton bottom of the table after that. Robbie Savage will join us as well to look ahead to 6:06. Leicester fans, Bolton fans, you'll both want to be in touch, I'm sure, for obvious reasons. We will do all of that after the news on 5 Live with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. More than 100 coaches are still waiting at the port of Dover, where there have been long delays for the past 3 days. Queues at French border control and bad weather have been blamed for the disruption. Some passengers on coaches had to wait more than 14 hours to board ferries. The Independent's travel editor is Simon Calder.
They've got to stamp your passport. This increases the transaction time, and I think even with everything working well, a coach takes 20 minutes to process. They have 300 coaches through on Saturday. That adds up to an awful lot of waiting, as we saw.
Labour have criticised Suella Braverman's accusation that local councils run by the party had in the past turned a blind eye to sex abuse by grooming gangs. The Home Secretary insists planned legislation making reporting suspected abuse a legal requirement will deter inaction. A humanitarian group say 2 of the 3 British men being held by the Taliban in Afghanistan have spoken to their families. The Presidium Network say the calls have brought great relief for their families. The Home Office have told the BBC they're in negotiations to get them released. Progress is said to have been made in securing the release of those 3 British men. And school bosses who run more than 200 academies in England say Ofsted must rethink how it carries out inspections. They've warned that the watchdog is failing to take account of the impact of the pandemic on poorer communities. Ofsted says it aims to carry out inspections with sensitivity and professionalism.
BBC 5 Live, the voice of the UK.
If the cost of renting is rising fast,
if many renters are finding it difficult to make their payments,
if a growing number of landlords are quitting the sector.
What is the state of rental health in the UK?
Radio 4 and 5 Live take an in-depth look at a rental market under pressure.
Hearing stories from those directly affected,
alongside analysis of how it impacts us all.
And exploring solutions that could ease the strain. Rental health.
On BBC Radio 4
and 5 Live.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday
with Steve Crossman.
Newcastle 0, Manchester United 0. Second half commentary on the way from the Premier League. Let's get some reaction to some of the big stories of the day. In rugby union, England made it 2 wins from 2 at the start of the Women's Six Nations with an emphatic 68-5 victory over Italy. 4 tries for Abby Dow, 3 more for Jess Breach, helping the Red Roses to the win. Sarah Byrne was player of the match. Here she is with Sonia McLaughlin.
Well, Sarah, many congratulations. I think our commentators today rather enjoyed your all-court game. Was it a deliberate tactic to have you out in those wide open spaces a little bit?
No, obviously we've lost a few key players. It's not generally where you put your tight head. But I love ball carrying. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I had the opportunity to go into those positions today, and I just absolutely loved it. That's me. That's where I like to light up. So yeah, hopefully I can play a few more games there.
Look, 12 tries from England and not a rolling maul amongst them. I wonder, is this just the desire to try and see England expand their game a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the World Cup we were very, very maul focused, and it's still a big key player for us, but we want to try and play some exciting attacking rugby. We want to try and get the fans on their feet, and I think we definitely did that today.
Elsewhere, Exeter Chiefs beat Montpellier on try count-back to progress to the quarter-finals of the European Champions Cup. That was after a 33-all draw after extra time. Also into the last day, Saracens, who beat Ospreys 35-20 in Toulouse, with 33-9 winners against Bulls. In Super League, it finished Salford 16, Huddersfield 26. Back to the Premier League, West Ham beat Southampton 1-0 at the London Stadium. Huge game down at the bottom of the table, moves West Ham out of the relegation zone. Here's goalkeeper Lucas Fabianski Lewandowski on the significance of the result.
When you have two teams who are playing who are in this position in the table and playing such an important game, especially because it's coming towards on the season, you only got like 2 months left. Around 10 games, something like that to play. So you know the meaning of the game, the kind of the size of the game, the importance of the game. It's much bigger than before, and it's always the games become a little bit cagey. Maybe you play with a bit of a handbrake, and you don't wanna go crazy. You wanna first, I believe you wanna. First focus on defending and make sure that you keep a clean sheet, because with clean sheets you always get something out of the game, and you don't want to open yourself too much, because then it's a bit risky, especially in this situation. So I think it's always very tense. I think it's gonna be tense until the last game of the season, but luckily enough we hold our nerves in a good manner. We managed to win the game, so I think that speaks as well a lot about the character of the team.
West Ham 14th after that, Southampton still bottom and 3 points from safety. Their manager Ruben Selles said his side just couldn't find their feet after going behind.
I think we started the game well. I think we controlled the game for the first 25 to 30 minutes until that set plays happened, and I think even that action we need to solve it better. And then when we conceded that goal from the free kick, we just were in the situation that we need to try to fight ourselves back into the game. We try with some different approaches. We have a couple of situations. They also have a couple of situations that it didn't happen. So a little bit frustrated, because I think until that moment we have the game under control. But it's fine margins in the Premier League, and unfortunately were not for us today.
It was such a strange moment. It was such a big moment as well. You had this long wait before the goal was confirmed. Do you think it had an impact on your team, the goal and the nature of it?
Well, I would not say that, because right now it's quite natural that the VAR is taking. I spoke with the referee and he told me that they were checking some different angles because it was not clear if it was onside or offside. So I don't think that was especially the case. We are ready to compete after those situations. If are for us, good. If it's not for us, then we need to fight ourselves back. So I don't think it was a big thing, that waiting time.
That's Ruben Selles. Into the Women's Super League. Big win for Arsenal today. The title race taking another twist. They beat Manchester City 2-1 at Meadow Park. Arsenal are second in the table on 38 points, with a game in hand over Manchester United, who are top of the pile on 41, having played 17 games. Let's hear from the Arsenal manager. Here's Jonas Eidevall.
Every 3 points is important at this point, especially against a very, very strong Man City. I said to their manager before the game that we played a lot of good teams this season, but no team has played that well as Man City did on their academy stadium when we played them in February. So we know they're not one of the teams that's here now in the end of the Champions League, but they're definitely a top European side. So I rate this win very, very highly, especially given all the circumstances that we have.
So Arsenal have things in their own hands when it comes to Manchester United, but Chelsea, who are fourth on 37 points, are 4 points off the top. They've got 2 games in hand. The first is against Aston Villa later on. You can listen to commentary of that game on 5 Sports Extra. Kicks off at 6:45. Everton scored a 94th minute winner to beat Spurs 2-1. And Leicester got a huge 3 points against Reading. Scoring in injury time moves them off the bottom, only 1 relegation place. So that's a big result for Leicester City, of course. Big story with Leicester's men's team today. Brendan Rodgers has been sacked after 4 years in charge. I'm sure Leicester fans will be calling 08085 909 693 to speak to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Hi, Rob.
How are you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm all right. How do you feel as a Leicester man about that?
Mixed emotions, really. I think Brendan Rodgers has been unbelievable for Leicester. 2 fifth-place finishes, winning an FA Cup. And I'm sure in his time at Leicester City, Steve, he probably had options to go elsewhere, but he stayed loyal to Leicester. Results this season, haven't been good enough. I think they've got the lowest points since the continuation of the Premier League after the World Cup. Second bottom. That defeat yesterday was huge blow. So is it the right thing? It was a caller on 606 last night, said Brendan Rodgers had to go and put Mike Stowell in charge at the end of the season. Well, I'm not sure about that one, because Mike Stowell has been part of Brendan Rodgers' backroom staff. So, personally for me, if you're a team, I'd like people to stay loyal to me as a manager. And, if one goes, you all go together because it's a collective thing, but inevitably the manager takes the responsibility. So the big question is now, have they got a plan? Who they're going to put in charge, and who do Leicester City fans want, Steve?
08085 909 693. The tightness at the bottom obviously doesn't help because Leicester are second bottom, 25 points. But let's say they win yesterday, they beat Crystal Palace, they're level with Wolves in 13th. And if that happens, he's probably not been sacked this weekend, does he?
And you know what, Steve? The short-termism in management and the Premier League, I think there's only, since the start of the season, 8 managers who have kept their job in the Premier League, which is quite remarkable. So, that's where if you've got an opportunity as a manager to move to a bigger club, but you stay loyal to the one you're at, where's the reward for that? That's the big question, because inevitably you will get sacked as a Premier League manager or a manager, but the time's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I've been through it this season, Steve. Here, at Macclesfield, I've sacked one manager and one left by mutual consent. I'm on my third manager. It's very, very difficult. It's this is not a decision that the board of Leicester would have taken lightly at all, especially what Brendan Rodgers has done. I've parted ways with 2 managers when we were top of the league, Steve.
And you won the league, didn't you?
Yeah, we won the league. So inevitably, you do it with the best interest of your football club at heart.
So if Leicester stay up, does that mean it's the right decision?
100%.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Listen, I would have got absolutely hammered, Steve, if we hadn't won the league, by getting rid of 2 managers top of the league. It's a big, big decision for not just yourself, but your family, because the criticism you could come under. So if Leicester stay up, it will be the right decision.
I bet you want to hear from Bolton fans today as well after that
4-0.
win. Oh, amazing. Do you know what? We were just looking because I saw a tweet saying it was the highest attendance in Europe and the production team have done the work. And it is. So more than watch Real Madrid at the Bernabeu today, more than watch Bayern Munich at the Allianz yesterday. Amazing.
Wow, yeah, unbelievable. There's some fantastic footballers and football, in the lower division. They've won the EFL trophy today. I'm not going to mention Neil Warnock 4-2 against Middlesbrough yesterday. Steve,
appreciate you for not doing that.
What a win that was. But listen, we got loads to talk about. The big talking point will be as well Newcastle against United today. I know Chris wouldn't like that, but if Manchester United win, it just goes to show there's only one United, isn't there, Steve? 08085 909 693.
Have a good one, Robbie. Thank you. Lines open now for 606. Newcastle United against Manchester United. Second half commentary on the way. Other story of the day: Max Verstappen winning the Australian Grand Prix, but not the story of the race, which was stopped 3 times, finished behind a safety car. Verstappen called it a bit of a mess. Alonso called it stupid. You can make your mind up now. Listen to the Checkered Flag podcast with all the reaction on BBC Sounds. And a reminder, the Masters will be live on BBC Sounds. Play starting on Thursday. Commentary across 5 Live and 5 Sports Extra. Those are the sounds of St James's Park. John Murray, we've had a message in for you from Hulston. Says, John Singh, Newcastle in early April is just like the Caribbean. Has made my afternoon.
I said the skies looked like the Caribbean.
No, that's not how it's been interpreted, John. Just like the Caribbean.
It doesn't feel like the Caribbean. It is actually cold. I've got scarf and hat on. But no, thank you, Steve. The players are out. The players of Newcastle United and Manchester United. No changes at half-time, although just the way that the Newcastle players were talking to Anthony Gordon, who's one of the subs, as he was coming off the field, kind of suggested that we might see him before too long in the second half. But sorry, Chris,
sorry, John, I can say that because I'd say Maximum's doing well. It's just his end product again.
So there we go. Second half begins. That's Chris Waddle. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. And Newcastle kicking off, black and white stripes, black shorts, black socks, and they're attacking towards the Gallagate end, which is to our right. And Newcastle with Pope in goal, Trippier, Share, Botman and Byrne. The established familiar back 4, Longstaff, Guimarães and Willock, the midfield 3, Murphy on the right, St Maximin on the left, and Isak as the centre forward. And Manchester United, De Gea in goal, Dalot at right back, Varane, Martinez and Shaw, McTominay and Sabitzer, Anthony, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford and Weghorst. And Newcastle winning a free kick near the left corner of the box. St Maximin just chopped down, and it's a free kick just outside the left corner.
Dalot is all over him and lunges at him. It is a free kick. It's a good position early in the second half.
Very good position. Kieran Trippier is in discussions with Dan Burn and Cher as they walk forward. They'll have something in mind for this Newcastle. Isak is also trotting out to the far side for a word with the captain. Trippier, just as he prepares to take this, ball still in his hands. So this is, 2 or 3 feet outside the left corner of the box. So to be an in-swinger for Trippier. And a final couple of words there in the sunshine. You can actually see the moon way above St James's Park in the distance, as it would be. Trippier taking this free kick then for Newcastle. In it comes, whipped, comes off the head of Cher, who threw himself in front of it and has actually been caught on the side of the head by it and poleaxed, and the ball's bounced behind. And actually he's got a recent history, remember, with concussion.
Yes, he has,
because he took that knock in the cup final, in the Carabao Cup final, and then it was discovered that he'd suffered light concussion, they called it, and he's caught this one and has gone down, and the medical people are very quickly on. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if this was the end of his afternoon, Fabian Schär.
It could be. I mean, Trippier was in a great position, free kick. He's probably did the right thing, Trippier. He didn't hit it right, but he did the best thing. If you just shoot at the target. If somebody gets across of it, it's very difficult for De Gea. He's really hit it really hard, and Schär really kind of get out of the way of it. And
I don't know if he's trying to glance it or get out of the way of it, but it just had too much whip on it and has knocked him off his feet. And he's still down on his back, receiving treatment. And whether he perhaps has fallen awkwardly as well, possibly, that could be an issue.
It's definitely his head, look. He's sitting up now.
So a stoppage early in the second half, 2 minutes on the clock, and he is now leaning forward and sitting up and continuing to receive treatment. And Newcastle, well, Jamal Lascelles has gone out there to warm up. He would be the natural replacement. Remember how he came in, actually played well against Manchester City in the match following the cup final.
Target as well, he's warming up. 2 defenders. I'm sure he'll be okay.
Well, he's on his feet now, and he's still being looked at by the 2 Newcastle medical staff, and referee Atwell is also involved in this too. And now he's running back towards the halfway line here. He'll have to leave the field, obviously, at least temporarily, while they just make sure that everything is all right with him. So Manchester United will take the goal kick to resume play. 5 Live on this Premier League Sunday, BBC Sounds and the World Service. 0-0, and Fabian Schär just down in front of us. The top of the dugout is only 5 or 6 yards away from us. There are words exchanged. Eddie Howe's involved. They give him a bottle of water. He has a swig, and on he goes back onto the field. So let's just keep an eye on Fabian Schär to see how he is. So Manchester United approaching the halfway line. Martinez through for Fernandes, who slides it out to Shaw on the left-hand side. Here's Rashford. Rashford yet to have a sight of goal in this match, their top scorer. Bruno Fernandes plays it round the back, away from Trippier, but that touch took it beyond the dead ball line and behind for a goal kick before Fernandes could catch it.
Yeah, nice bit of play between Rashford and Fernandes. Fernandes actually has played a lot of this left-hand side, about 20 yards, 25 yards inside of Rashford. He did it the first half, and he started the second half very similar.
So Newcastle with the goal kick that, I mean, Nick Pope here is taking as long as David De Gea took to take his goal kicks in the first half in front of the Leazes end. To our right, floodlights on, the roof, the stadium absolutely sparkling in this sunshine as Pope, all in green, hits this downfield. It's headed on. Little Martinez is underneath that, little by the standards of central defenders. Shaw comes back to him in the left back area. He passes it across the box to De Gea, who might also be signing a new contract soon with Manchester United. Then it comes out to the right hand side. Dalot strikes it downfield, and that's a lovely touch from Sabitzer, who gets the ball under control. Challenge comes in from Bruno Guimaraes. Might have been a foul if he'd gone down, but he kept his feet, Sabitzer. And then McTominay back into central defence. If you just joined us, no Casemiro again for Manchester United. This is the second of his 4-match suspension after his second sending off of the season. McTominay now, tall, hair blonde, shaved at the sides. McTominay plays it square. Martinez now through the middle. That was cut out by Willock. It bounces forward for Bruno Guimaraes, who crosses the halfway line and then gives it to St Maximin. St Maximin running at the Manchester United defence into the penalty area, cuts it back to Guimaraes. Square from him. Willock just outside the box to the right. Square again from him, but that was slightly behind Dan Burn, who had to backtrack. And St Maximin now takes up possession again on the left-hand side. Turns and faces Dalot. Takes him on, beats him on the inside on his right foot, then couldn't slip the ball into the penalty area. Anthony was there. There's a little step over from him as he tries to run it away. It's almost like an involuntary reaction, Anthony, to do a step over on the ball as soon as it comes into his possession, and it's eventually put out of play for a throw-in near the halfway line. So still 0-0, Chris.
It hasn't started as quick as I thought it would, like the first half. It's just come off the pace slightly. Newcastle obviously on the front foot more than Man United. Man United's just waiting for an opportunity. They're very patient the way they're playing. They're not throwing a lot of bodies forward. They're taking their time. And Newcastle eventually, the way they play, will run out of steam.
So the lines are open now for the 606 phone in on 5 Live. 08085 909 693 to book your call. And if you're a Bolton Wanderers fan who has been at Wembley today, you'll want to shout about it. And certainly Leicester City fans as well, after the news today that Brendan Rodgers has left his job at Leicester City. Robbie Savage, obviously, as a former Leicester City man, will be keen to hear your thoughts. So 08085 909 693. Newcastle with a throw just down in front of us to our right. Trippier to take this. Can clearly, we're so close here, can clearly make out the tattoos on his forearms. Kieran Trippier waiting and waiting, eventually takes that throw, and Schär turns under pressure from Weghorst to pass it all the way back to Nick Pope. Back out to Fabian Schär again. Lifts a pass forward onto the chest of Murphy. Martinez in with the challenge. Bruno Guimaraes challenged by Sabitzer. The referee says play on. Guimaraes still down, but Murphy taking it forward for Newcastle in the absence of the injured Almiron. And now St Maximin giving it on the left hand side, running at the Manchester United defence again. Dalot beats him, gets the cross in, but the cover was there from McTominay at the near post in the 6-yard box to head it behind for a corner.
Well, his end product has not been the best, I've got to say, St Maximin, but he's been the most lively player in a Newcastle shirt going forward. He's always picking it up, he's always looking to commit. The full-back Dalot, it's just his end product at times let him down.
So corner to Newcastle from the left. Jacob Murphy is going across there to take it. Thunderous applause in that section of St James's Park for him as he arrives there to take it. So it'll be an in-swinger from Jacob Murphy. Manchester United with 2 defenders next to Botman and Schär near the penalty spot. Isak is there as well, just on the edge of the 6-yard area. The corner is actually taken short to Bruno Guimaraes. Now square. Trippier arriving. Trippier lifts it back into the box. And it was, I think, the final touch off Isak near the dead ball line. Couldn't get it back across. And it ends up going out for a goal kick.
Good corner. Well worked. It was definitely off the training ground, wasn't it? Very well worked. It was just unfortunate with Trippier's pass just overhit it.
Interesting one though, wasn't it? To take a shot and then the arriving Trippier is a sort of scoop over the top from him. 0-0. Manchester United take the short goal kick. Varane clears it up to Anthony, lost out to Burn, and it finds its way to St Maximin again. And once again, St Maximin off and running, gives it across the box. Bruno Guimaraes trying to turn, was dispossessed by Bruno Fernandes, and he in turn released McTominay, who's already 7 or 8 yards inside the Newcastle half. Anthony's ball in field, that was intercepted by Willock, and Newcastle United have got it back. Very tight at the moment, very tight between these two sides, who are separated by just 3 points in the Premier League table. Tottenham in between them. Tottenham, another of your old clubs, will play tomorrow night. After all of the upheaval there over the course of recent weeks, Tottenham go to Everton, who are now in the bottom 3 again after West Ham's win earlier. Ball being juggled by the head of Willock like a performing seal, heading it forward 2, 3, 4 times before getting it down, but Manchester United were able to get it away. And
I thought McTominay was going to throw him a fish there.
And now Shaw over the halfway line. Shaw taking it on, passes it slightly behind Rashford, but Rashford's still in business here, and then flicks it back to Shaw. Shaw puts his left foot on it, plays it square. Bruno Fernandes crossfield pass. Anthony takes that down on his left foot, and now cuts in field, left foot shot straight into the gloves of Nick Pope, who is able to lean forward and grab it.
Well, we've seen Anthony do that a lot, haven't we, since he's came into English football. It comes inside. He was on stand foot. He didn't really have enough pace on the shot. Hit the target. That's about it.
Newcastle with it on the edge of their own box. It's played forward towards Murphy, who's been put under pressure by Martinez, but he's done well, kept his feet as well. Martinez still chasing him out to the left-hand side, uses St. Maximin, and then Martinez in with a challenge to make sure this time and put it out, tackle it out of play for a throw-in. Ball boy in a yellow bib appears and tosses the ball back to Dan Burn to take this throw-in. Still 0-0, and across comes Bruno Guimaraes to make himself available. Byrne takes the bouncing throw to Isak, takes it down, controls it off the top of his knee, and then back into the centre circle. Now Cher will take it on, and it opens up, and Cher shoots wide.
Tell you what, John, that wasn't far away. De Gea couldn't see, I don't think, and it just flew past him. It's hit advertising buzz. De Gea puts his hands out as if is anybody going to close him down.
He hit it from 22, 23 yards out, and it flashed wide by a foot, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe something like that. It was a good effort. I mean, he can do that. We've seen him score some real spectacular goals, and David De Gea, as you say, Chris, he ended up actually putting his hand above his eyes, a bit like, you know, Captain Cook or Lord Nelson all those years ago, looking for ships, because no one charged down, no one closed down Cher. Here's Botman in front of his own penalty area. Botman. Great noise inside the ground. Manchester United's fans, thousands of them, way up high. If you've ever been to St James's Park, you'll know where they are. It'd be a fantastic view across the northeast of England from up there today, as the ball is dispossessed from St Maximin. Manchester United, here's Weghorst, but St Maximin tackling back, and then in comes Bruno Guimaraes as well. Dwelt on the ball, Weghorst, but Manchester United have it back with Anthony into the action, all busy, and then he plays it back to the halfway line to Dalot. Anthony Martial's back on the bench for Manchester United today, 2 months out, but I think it's Jadon Sancho actually who Eric Ten Hag,
I think they're both coming on,
and Martial.
I think you'd take Weghorst off. He's struggled today, I've got to say. He works hard, the lad, he's very honest, but technically he's not the best, is he? And probably I'm going to see him taking Rashford off. He's putting Sancho on. It must be for Anthony.
McTominay has won a corner. Two Newcastle defenders in the full-back position. He's played it off them, so a corner to Manchester United. And yes, we're going to see Martial and Sancho coming on for Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag deciding with just over an hour to go, with just over an hour gone, that now's the time to make those changes. Rashford has not looked himself, certainly since the World Cup. Anyway, corner to Manchester United. Shaw takes it back. Sabitzer plays it in. Weghorst to the header, it's deflected and bounces into the path, took all the pace off it, and that meant Pope could take the ball to his left. But chance for Weghorst.
Fabulous ball in Sabitzer, doesn't he? He drills it in hard. It's like a shot.
Weghorst, who started every match for Manchester United since he arrived on loan, having been in Turkey, as you'll know, but he is on loan from Burnley. He was at Besiktas in Istanbul, and could well find himself playing against Manchester United in the Premier League again for Burnley next season. Who knows? But yet to score for Manchester United in the Premier League. Martinez, long crossfield pass. Here's Anthony. Anthony goes round the outside of Byrne, who put the challenge in. It bounces out of play. Good tackle by Byrne. It was slightly last ditch, but he made it. And now Sabitzer on the right hand side. Exaggerated step over from Sabitzer, takes it on towards the dead ball line, then angles it back. The defender got a touch in on that, Byrne, and now they burst forward, Newcastle, and it is Byrne who's carrying it on into Newcastle, into Manchester United territory, but then showed too much of it to McTominay, who was able to whip it away. And now Byrne's out of position, and McTominay gives it to Anthony, and Anthony now is forced to check back by Willock. Good work, Willock. Sabitzer 30 yards out. Back to Anthony, ball at his feet. Willock in front of him. There's McTominay behind him, now square to Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United having a better spell here. Bruno Fernandes, though, poor pass to the edge of the area, straight at Longstaff, but Newcastle have conceded possession again. McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, a flick by Sabitzer, but that flick,
it didn't mean it. Fernandes meant to give it to Weghorst. It actually hit Sabitzer. He didn't mean it. to getting away, but he did. There's a lot of tired players. I can see why people are making substitutions now. I'm just wondering, has Anthony been away with Brazil?
Yes.
Yeah, he looks tired a bit. He's been their best outlet, to be honest, but he does look tired.
Rashford concedes a free kick, and that means we're going to see these changes for Manchester United now. The score is still Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. And it is Anthony, as Chris Waddle suggested, who he has worked hard, actually, and Dan Burn will be pleased to see the back of him, and Wout Weghorst as well marches off the pitch now directly towards us. So Sancho and Martial, so Anthony Martial making yet another return after an injury. He's missed the last 13 matches with a hip injury, so a couple of months out. Did actually score in his last appearance for Manchester United in the Carabao Cup game against Nottingham Forest. And now Jadon Sancho is on as well.
I like Martial, but he just doesn't seem to have that appetite which you need. You know, when he's on his game, he's a terrific centre forward, isn't he? But some games you just look and you think, does he really fancy it?
Yeah, I think many Manchester United fans would echo that. And I think Newcastle are planning a triple change with Anthony Gordon, Joe Linton and Callum Wilson going to be coming on for them. And actually the first of them just appears from under the dugout in front of us, Joe Linton, to make his return. So it is 0-0. Newcastle United 0, Manchester United 0. Jadon Sancho's gone over to replace Anthony on the right-hand side. Do you think he's best on the right or the left, Sancho?
He's a right-sided player. I mean, he's never had let's be honest, he's never came to Man United and set the place alight, has he? He's had problems, whatever he's had, injuries, whatever it's been, it's just never happened for him. Whether it was the price tag was too much, I don't know. It's just never happened for him in a Man United shirt.
So these difficulties this season, as Erik ten Hag said, both physical and mental, some of his difficulties early on in the season. Newcastle with a throw down the right-hand side, and Kieran Trippier waiting to take this, which he does to Murphy. Bruno Fernandes got a touch, it bounced off the Newcastle man in behind for a goal kick, even though Jacob Murphy blatantly appealed for a corner.
Today's game.
So it is 0-0, and here is the official attendance.
It's 52,268.
Seems very early, doesn't it, to announce the attendance with still over 25 minutes to play. But it is a goal kick for Manchester United. Still 0-0 between West Ham and Liverpool, by the way, in the 5 o'clock kickoff in the Women's Super League, as Varane is closed down by Isak, who wins a throw-in over on the left-hand side, and he tries to whip up the crowd. Suspect he won't be on the field much longer if Callum Wilson's coming on, but we'll see. Throw-in is taken towards him, bounces back for Newcastle. Now St Maximin tries to work it through. That's blocked by McTominay on the edge of his own box. McTominay though is dispossessed. St Maximin's in again, turns. McTominay put the challenge in on him again. Very congested on the edge of the box. St Maximin went down on the edge of the area, but it was a good challenge, I think, by Dalot. Newcastle come again though, still 0-0. Longstaff, Murphy now on the right hand side. Shaw's chasing him, so he goes infield, nimble footed. Murphy to the edge of the box. Isak with a touch. Isak now through to Bruno Guimaraes, right side of the area, went for the chip to the back post. St Maximin across and headed in. Willock is there, and Newcastle take the lead. Superbly worked, beaten in the cup final at Wembley in February, but they've got a little bit of revenge here. 1-0 Newcastle lead against Manchester United.
Well, you can just see how the crowd, what an atmosphere here. What a great goal, by the way. Lovely work. Guimaraes with a great cross to stood it up at the far post. A lot of people thought shoot, he didn't, he stood it up, and then comes Willock with a terrific back across the goal, and he's got a simple task from a yard out, just to head it into the net. And you've got to say, overall, so far in the game, I know there's quite a bit to go, Newcastle being the better side, and they deserve the lead.
That was really well worked, wasn't it, by Newcastle? I think Isak did ever so well on the edge of the area, and then great awareness by Bruno Guimaraes on the right side of the area.
A lot of people would have hit that hard and low, even shot. fizzed it across the goal. He had the quality and the vision to stand it up the far post. Good header back across goal. Willock can't miss. He's basically nearly on the lane. So now it's going to be to see how Man United react.
Isn't it just? Eric Ten Hag having just made those 2 changes. I wonder if Eddie Howe's going to change his mind now about his changes. Ball's played back to De Gea, and De Gea passes it away from Isak. And as I say, with Wilson having just been due to come on, you know, Isak played a really important part in that goal with the work on the edge of the penalty area and the role that he played. He won't get an assist, of course, for that officially in the old statistics, but his role was highly significant and put away by Joe Willock in the end, his 3rd goal of the season.
Well, it's Joe Linton and Anthony Gordon who are coming on.
So not Wilson yet then. Well, let's see. As Trippier running the ball back towards the halfway line is shoved over by Rashford, and it's a free kick to Newcastle. So now, intriguing situation this. Newcastle, who've not beaten Manchester United for 4 years, are in a position now where they would go above them in the league table if they hang on to what they've got. So Saint-Maximin is being replaced by Anthony Gordon, who returns from injury. He's missed the last couple of matches with an ankle injury. So Anthony Gordon, still just the 1 start for Newcastle United. Murphy's moved in January, and Jacob Murphy on the other flank is being replaced as well. So let's see where Joe Linton and Willock go here. Joe Linton looks as though he's going to take up a position on the left-hand side, so maybe Gordon on the right-hand side. Anyway, it's a free kick to Newcastle after that foul, and Graham Jones, one of Eddie Howe's coaches there, gives Jacob Murphy a big cuddle round the neck with his arm. He has played well, Murphy, in this match. Free kick, Trippier, long and high and diagonal to the edge of the box. It's headed out. Sabitzer might have been caught by Isak. He was. It's a free kick to Manchester United on the edge of their own penalty area. So 1-0 Newcastle lead, and this is intriguing now.
Gordon's come on the right hand side, yes, surprising. I thought he'd go on the left, but Joe Linton's gone out there. But Newcastle are, obviously, with this crowd behind them, the atmosphere is brilliant, and Newcastle are really putting a shift in here. I don't know how long they can keep it up. There's got to be a spell where Man United coming at this game.
Manchester United have got to find a way through what is statistically the best defence in the Premier League this season, Newcastle United. And now this is nice. Shaw, Bruno Fernandes. This for Sancho down the left, but Cher was able to come across, played it. It was just kept in play by Anthony Gordon. And now Longstaff passes the ball out of play beyond Trippier. And Trippier did well there, actually tried to make sure that Bruno Fernandes couldn't take a quick throw. I think that fell into the Eric Ten Hag annoying bracket from Kieran Trippier. One of those little tricks that Diego Simeone perhaps taught him how to do when he was in Madrid. Could be Madrid today with this sky above St James's Park. Madrid, Caribbean, Tyneside. Ball bounces off Longstaff, and now Gordon with his bleached blonde hair. He could be on the beach in the Caribbean with that, and it's out of play for a throw into Newcastle 10 yards inside their own half.
By the way, it's quite cold, by the way.
It is cold, yeah. Throw in for Newcastle. Trippier chested back to him, and then Bruno Fernandes comes across and stabs it into the stands just to our left. So Manchester United, just 1 defeat in their last 16 matches, Manchester United. In that run, they beat Newcastle United at Wembley, as no Newcastle United fan will need reminding of. The only defeat in that time for Manchester United, 7-0 at Anfield. Gordon now trying to play it forward, but it bounces back for the visitors. And now McTominay, Sabitzer, crossfield pass. Martial on the chase into the full-back area. Look a little sluggish there, Martial. Plays it back to Sancho. Sancho goes round the outside of Cher, but the covering challenge was there from Trippier, who blasts it high into the stands via a deflection off the Manchester United man, and it's a throw into Newcastle, and they've cheered that almost like a second goal. Throw in for Trippier. Lines open for 606 on 5 Live. The phone in with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693. To book your call, you can text 85058 or get in touch, #BBC 606. Manchester United with the ball in the central third of the field. As ever, read about all the football action on the football pages of the BBC website. Bruno Fernandes is caught in possession. Isak takes it on, gives it back to Bruno Guimaraes, who drives it across, but it was blocked, I think, by Varane in the middle. There were 3 players together. It comes back out to the right-hand side to Bruno Guimaraes. Bruno Guimaraes slips it past Shaw, and then Shaw's able to recover and take it away from him and give a little ball forward towards Sancho, who knocks it infield. Rashford's gone over to the right-hand side and Sancho to the left for the time being. Bruno Fernandes long and forward. Martial heads it into the path of Sancho. Sancho crossfield pass. Arriving on the right, Dallow's ball into Sabitzer, who shoots, and it's blocked by Botman and bounces back. Deflection of Longstaff as well. And Nick Pope is cheered because he dives out to his left to prevent it from going behind for a corner.
Well, Man United have come out now. They've had to come out getting beat 1-0 obviously, and they've started to put a few passes together. Newcastle, as I thought, 70 minutes, they normally feel the pace and drop off it. And when they drop off it, they're asking for... But it's very difficult to keep the tempo Newcastle play on 90 minutes, and they're starting to feel the pace a little bit now.
Just under 20 minutes to go. Manchester United playing the ball back to De Gea. Newcastle leading through the Joe Willock goal. Remember him scoring here so well against Chelsea just before the World Cup when we were here for that was a Saturday 5:30 commentary, wasn't it? Well, this one was from a good deal closer. It was about a yard out, but brilliantly worked. The ball headed back across, and Willock was there to put the finishing touch on it. So Manchester United now playing the ball infield, short, but that's short. The return pass from Sancho. Gordon angles the ball forward for Isak, and Martinez was able to slide in, and then Gordon tackles back on Shaw. More applause from the Geordie fans. Out for a throw into Newcastle. Wilson was going to come on for Isak, you know, but after Isak's role and the part that he's played, he's thought better of that since Newcastle took the lead, and possibly thinking as well of how the game might pan out now that Newcastle are in front. Ball at the back with Dalot passing it forward for McTominay down the right hand side. McTominay being chased by goal scorer Willock, went to ground, didn't get him. McTominay takes it on, low ball into the near post, headed behind by a diving Botman, and Rashford was waiting in the middle, just waiting for that to land on his head, but Botman made sure it didn't. Corner.
Well, he did well, McTominay down that right hand side. Good change of pace. He's feeling it a bit now. Look, he's bent over. Look, I don't know if he's got a slight injury.
Yeah. He's just flexing a leg in there, McTominay. Just checking to see everything's all right. He is limping still, and I think
it's his knee. I think he's a left knee.
Yeah, he might sit down, or will he? No, he went down on his haunches. He's back up now, and he's making his way into the 6-yard box. Corner to Manchester United. Short to take it. Newcastle winning 1-0. It's a high one, this, to the back post. Newcastle got a head on it, and Sancho was able to chase it out into the full-back position. Back to Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, right-footed ball across the box, headed across the area by Varane, but Nick Pope was able to step forward and clutch it in his gloves.
Yeah, no problem there. Fernandes, diagonal ball, far stick for Varane, who just heads it down, doesn't really put any direction on it. It's easy for Pope to pick up.
Long one from Trippier. This is for Gordon. Gordon's away from Bruno Fernandes. He's up against Martinez inside the penalty area. The angle's tight. Plays it across to the back post. And Dalot just stepped into the path of Isak to side-foot it behind for a corner beyond the far post.
He did very well, Gordon, there, didn't he? He just held it up, waited, bided his time, got a yard. He didn't lash it, did he? Just rolled it across there in between the 6-yard line and the goal line. Dangerous ball, put away for a corner.
Yes, a little bit like Brian Blessed, isn't it? Gordon's alive. Did well against Bruno Fernandes. Corner. Trippier to take this stage of the game. 15 minutes to go under the blue skies of Tyneside. Another goal now. You'd think Newcastle would win it. Trippier, deep one in, and it's headed against the crossbar, and then nodded back again. Isak was in there, or Cher was in there. That was blocked, and Manchester United were able to clear It was Joe Linton with the initial header. And now Manchester United. Newcastle tried to get back. Shaw with the cross, headed away by Trippier near the penalty spot, and then cleared away by Willock. So close for Newcastle for a second from Joe Linton. Gordon now bringing it forward for Newcastle, but there's a man down, Cher, who's down again after he tried to follow up following the initial effort that was, I think, deflected against the crossbar from Joe Linton.
Yep.
And Cher flung himself in at the back post, and there was perhaps a collision in there.
I think it was Peels for half ball.
It was a save. It was a save by De Gea.
It's off the bar, and then this one there.
It hit the post.
It hit the post as well.
The follow up from Cher.
Did he catch him with his arm, Martial?
That was a terrific initial save by De Gea.
Yeah.
And then it bounced out, and Cher put his head in.
Actually, it was a Newcastle player who kicked it. It wasn't a Man United player.
Yeah. And that's an outstanding save from De Gea initially, and then whether it was Martial on the line, whether he got his head to it, Martial, or whether it hit the post is not entirely clear. However, that was, well, the width of the post and the width of the bar away from 2-0.
I think Man United look very dangerous on the break, on the counter-attack, John, but that's it. Newcastle have dominated this game, and yes, 1-0, you always get a chance. Man United is definitely going to get another chance. Newcastle should have put this to bed, this game.
Still 1-0, but as I say, they've got a history of tight games this season here in the Premier League. Cher is on his feet again, and I think it was a Manchester United foot, wasn't it, that caught him?
Yeah.
So again, he's taken another knock on the head. Callum Wilson is going to come on now, but David De Gea has kept Manchester United in this with that save. He was down on the ground virtually, and was able to recover, threw his hands up. I mean, the header was from Joe Linton, was point blank range, 3 or 4 yards out, deflected it with his gloves onto the crossbar. So Cher just walking off the field now. Just over 10 minutes to play. Lines are open for 606 08 085 909 693. You can text 85058 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 5 Live. This is 5 Live on the World Service and BBC Sounds as well. Newcastle with this play restarts near the halfway line, and Cher again is ushered back onto the field. So they're clear. Oh, Pope with a heavy touch. Martial was there, but Pope was able to recover. And then Byrne, a towering header to win the ball for Newcastle, and headed into the path of Willock. And Willock now to the edge of the area, shoots wide as he cut in from the left-hand side, shot across the face of goal, and actually it was probably wide by 4 or 5 yards of the far post. And now we will see that change. Isak being replaced by Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson, after Isak has applauded off. He's not been able to add to his 6 goals that he scored, Isak, today, but his all-round game's been very good again.
He's looked lively. He's caused the 2 centre-halves a lot of problems with his pace and his movement. So yeah, he's had a very good game.
So on comes Callum Wilson, podcast man himself. Part of the Footballers podcast on BBC Sounds. And likewise, these 2 clubs, both certainly Manchester United. If you haven't heard the How to Buy a Football Club podcast, which is updated almost by the day at the moment with the various moves that are being made in the sale, in inverted commas, of Manchester United, that's on BBC Sounds as well. Football Daily in the morning, of course, as well. Here's Sancho on the right-hand side. Sancho, foot to foot. Then back to Dalot behind him. Newcastle leading 1-0. Entering the closing stages of this Premier League match here at St James's Park. Sancho, back to Bruno Fernandes. Down into near the corner flag for Dalot, who plays it out of play. Not via a deflection. He wanted to throw in, but the assistant on the far side says straight out of play off Dalot, throwing Newcastle.
Well, they've got 3 in the box. McTominay, Rashford and Martial waiting for a delivery. That little triangle's playing over the right hand side, Man United, but ball was never going to come in.
Newcastle now, as Eric Ten Hag down there is in discussions with Fred and Pellistri as well, are going to be the next couple of changes for Manchester United. So Fred and the young Uruguayan international, Pelistri, are going to come on. Sabitzer now for Manchester United. Sabitzer playing it forward, touch back to him. Sabitzer forward from Martial, but that was cleared away by Cher. And now Manchester United again, the ball over the top. Martial onto his left foot, shoots, deflected, just wide. Pope was going down to his right, it came off Botman, and wicked deflection that took it dropping just wide of the post and behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was a good move by Man United, wasn't it? As you say, terrific block, and they've got a corner out of it. Still giving Fred instructions. Corner. Oh, Willock's gone down.
Willock has sat down just outside the penalty area, so we'll have another stoppage here. 8 minutes to play, 8 minutes, and Manchester United, I think, are they going to make these changes now before the corner? And with Willock down, they are going to make the changes. So McTominay coming on, and also Lindelof coming on. So first of all, McTominay makes way from midfield. So Pelistri,
Fred
coming on for him. Fred into the midfield, and eventually makes his way. We're going to also see another Newcastle change with Elliot Anderson coming on into the midfield for Newcastle. Also Martinez being replaced by Victor Lindelof, which is mildly surprising. Unless, well, he's running off the field, Martinez.
Yep.
So Lindelof replacing him, and the third Manchester United change.
Also for Manchester United coming off for the 6th, Sandro Martinez, replaced by number 28.
So both central defenders are off. Pelistri coming on. So unless I'm very much mistaken, there's only one central defender out there now. So Manchester United is going to be quite a rejig. Meanwhile, Newcastle also making a change, and that's it for Joe Willock. I mean, he has had a recent injury, but he's clearly taken a knock in this. The goal scorer, that's the end of his match. With
Anderson,
8 minutes to go, and Elliot Anderson coming onto the midfield for him, the young Geordie, born in Whitley Bay. Could be part of a, if not famous victory over Manchester United, then certainly a notable one. So play will resume with this Manchester United corner. And 7 minutes plus added time to play here at St James's Park under the soaring seagulls. Shaw waits to take this corner. In swinger from the right hand side, left footed, in it goes, and it's headed wide and up and high and over by Lindelof. His first touch.
He'd be disappointed with that. He got there, nice run to the near post, got above everybody, just couldn't hit the target. Now he's having a word with Nick Pope about wasting time.
Referee Stuart Atwell has
three at the back, Man United,
has made it clear, and Eddie Howe and Eric Ten Hag are in discussions here.
Yeah.
And Steve McLaren has come across, former Newcastle United manager, to step in between Eddie Howe and Eric Ten Hag. And Jason Tyndall's involved with the fourth official, Michael Salisbury, as well. And that's all to do with the referee talking to Nick Pope about time wasting. So here we go again. Gordon and Sancho and Trippier and Bruno Guimaraes, and now Joe Linton, and Joe Linton to the left hand side. Richie and Anderson just into the game. Anderson turning it out towards the left hand side. Byrne is there, and now Joe Linton gives it back to Elliot Anderson for Newcastle. The Geordie fans trying to do their bit to see Newcastle over the line here, and back up to third place in the Premier League, incidentally. Dalot turning it away from his right back area, but that was deflected, and it was deflected to Bruno Guimaraes, who gets it back on the edge of the area, but Dalot is able to sweep it across the box. Gordon though gets up, wins the header. Fred hooks it away on the edge of the box. In though comes Kieran Trippier for Newcastle United. Oh, and he's done well. He slipped it between two Manchester United men, but Gordon couldn't find the ball into the box. However, he's got the next best thing. It's come off Fred for a Newcastle corner.
Yeah, good play by Newcastle again. Hunger, desire to get the ball, to win the ball back, then play when they get it. I've got to say they've been a better team, John. I know it's not games finished yet, but Newcastle have deserved it.
So it's a corner for Newcastle. They've come very close to getting a second goal. but haven't been able to get it over the line. Corner, Trippier for Newcastle, deep one to the back post, headed down by Joe Linton. Comes out again, Newcastle chipped across, stretch, and header wide by Dan Burn on the edge of the 6-yard box in between two defenders. Goal kick.
Anderson did well, stood up the far post, didn't he? But you've got to say, Luke Shaw did ever so well. Half the size of Dan Burn, but he put him off enough to miss his header.
Yeah. Oh, and it comes back at the Manchester United defence again. And Wilson plays it to Longstaff down in the Manchester United left-back position. Went down very easily there, McTominay. The slightest of nudges from Shaw, but Newcastle get the free kick near the corner flag. So the Newcastle United fans, I mean, this will make up in no way whatsoever for the fact that Newcastle didn't win the Carabao Cup final 35 days ago. However, it's a little bit of revenge, tiny little bit.
Right, they're thinking Champions League now, John. That's gone now. That cup is gone.
And they'll go up into third place in the table. It's not over yet though, this. 3 minutes to go. Kieran Trippier pretends that he can't hear what the assistant was saying to him, so goes and walks across to him and says, "Pardon me, what was it that you said?" And then has to go back and take the free kick. Trippier whips it, and it's headed in! 2-0 Newcastle!
Wilson.
Callum Wilson in off a post. Newcastle have got this one now. Manchester United are beaten, and Newcastle are heading back up to third in the Premier League in April. Great celebrations in the Gallagher end. Callum Wilson does it for Newcastle. 2-0 against Manchester United.
Well, they should score more from set pieces, Newcastle, when I've watched them. This is a great ball in by Trippier, a lot of pace on it. And Callum Wilson just gets that slight movement on his marker, and it's a terrific header. It's a great ball in, a lot of pace on it. Wilson just gets up early above anybody else, and De Gea's got no chance. He's 4 or 5 yards out, got up. I mean, it's gone past 3 Man United players before Callum Wilson heads it. He just hits it on the target. De Gea's got no chance, and I've got to say Newcastle solely deserved its 2-0 lead.
Particularly the second half. Although in saying that, the early part of the first half as well.
First half they were good. Were not finishing well enough, but they've carried it on. They've kept it going. They've kept asking questions, and they've got the rewards.
And Manchester United, this is their first Premier League away match since the 7-0 at Anfield. And I mean, it's been a good contest, this, but they've lacked a little today, Manchester United. And now Wilson turning and setting off towards the edge of the penalty area. Callum Wilson has just scored what is only his second goal in his last 16 Newcastle appearances. Cleared away on the edge of the penalty area. Palistri's in there, Sabitzer. In goes Joe Linton, bounces for Gordon. Now Bruno Guimaraes, through to Wilson again, back to Bruno Guimaraes, and then the covering challenge from Dallo, which takes it behind for another Newcastle corner. And everyone's on their feet in the Gallagher end looking down on this.
I see a third coming, and Man United, we've seen them before, collapse. Look at Anfield. And the one thing they don't want is to concede another one.
Corner again for Newcastle, then Trippier. Newcastle in absolutely no hurry now. Trippier stoops over, has a little look in field. No, it's not quite where he wants it in the quadrant. Moves forward, adjusts it slightly. Trippier then into the near post. This time it's glanced by Burn across goal, and then it's Botman with the initial touch. Burn had a swing at it, it was blocked. Comes off Gordon, and Gordon can't keep it in on the halfway line. We're in the 90th minute now, but Newcastle with a 2-goal lead are surely on their way to victory and above Manchester United in the Premier League table. Do you know, Chris, Newcastle have not finished above Manchester United in the league since 1976-77.
Wow.
Is that just before your time?
Yeah, just before. Yeah. About 3-4 years.
Well, in the whole history of time, that's just before. Here's Bruno Fernandes playing it back towards the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, but the noise inside this place now. They are a force to be reckoned with, Newcastle United, no question. Sancho, Manchester United trying to do something about it. Here's Rashford. Rashford slips into the box and it's like a back pass to Nick Pope, and that, I'm afraid, rather sums it up. Marcus Rashford has not had a sight of goal today. 27-goal Marcus Rashford.
Obviously they rested him well, but I've got to say Man United have been disappointing today. I mean, they've played a lot of games and he's changed the team. He's took 2 centre-halves off. He's trying to give players rest time, but then in so many games ahead of them, so many games to play, it's going to be interesting to see how they come out, because Newcastle looks sharper, fitter than Man United today.
Manchester United have got to go again against Brentford on Wednesday. Newcastle play at West Ham actually on Wednesday as well. We'll have all of that covered for you on 5 Live in the midweek. Here's Rashford inside the penalty area, but it bounces down, and Newcastle are able to clear it up to Wilson, touches it back, and then I think Longstaff was caught by Lindelof. Manchester United now playing with Shaw, Lindelof and Dalot as their 3 central defenders, but the game has gone. Alan Shearer was with us at the start of 5 Live Sport yesterday, and he was remembering how it was actually the Charity Shield, as it was back in '96 when Manchester United beat Newcastle 4-0, and then in the October that was the 5-0, the famous 5-0 here for Newcastle United against Manchester United, as Lindelof is fouled by Anderson, the famous Hawaii 5-0 as they called it. I mean, it's not quite that today, but you wouldn't necessarily know it.
They've been a better team, I think, quite easily, quite comfortable victory this. I can't really remember Pope making saves, John, or really being under any pressure. You know, in spells of the game, normally you get a spell in the game where you're dominating and you have that 15-20 minutes where you think something's going to happen. Man United have not had that today.
The statistics on the BBC website say 1 shot on target from Manchester United. Just trying to think what that was. Was it the Anthony shot?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Bruno Fernandes, who remember how he was criticised when the game was going against Manchester United at Anfield, rather stepped out of that challenge that came in on him there, out of play. Newcastle with a throw. Anderson's taking it towards the edge of the penalty area, but he's that's snuffed out. Newcastle come again. No, Cher taking it on, giving it Bruno Guimaraes across from him, and it comes off Fred, and possibly the arriving Cher, who is still there, sent it wide in the end.
John, he's took his 2 centre-halves off, and he's playing Luke Shaw, Lindelof and Dalot as his back 3. They're all over the shop. Going forward, Sancho offered nothing since he came on, nothing. Rashford, non-existent today. And I've said sometimes with Rashford, you don't see him in a game and he scores, and it helps because people say he scored again, but his performance today, very, very poor.
No Casemiro today, suspended again, although he did play in the 7-0, remember, Casemiro. Newcastle have it in the Manchester United right back area. We're well into the 5 minutes of added time now on 5 Live. The line's open, 08 085 909 693. Another blow for Manchester United, this scoreline. Losing 2-0 here, where Newcastle have lost only once this season against Liverpool, and now they'll go above them in the table.
Sabitza's down as well over there, far side. Look, there's a cramp. It's a fair chance.
Well, he was an injury doubt coming into this game, Sabitzer.
By the way, they've got Brentford. Did you say Brentford? That's not an easy game now. They're playing very well.
They are. Many of the Manchester United fans have already left from the grey seats up in the top of Belize's end. Probably thousands.
I can understand them. I mean, listen, Man United's played a lot of football, we know that, but
got a lot of football to play as well.
Yeah.
FA Cup semi-final, Europa League quarter-final against Sevilla coming up. You'll hear that on 5 Live, and the semi-final as well, both semi-finals of the FA Cup. But Newcastle United have got their eyes on the Champions League again. 5 minutes are up. Newcastle United about to win a match against Manchester United for the first time since 2019, and they've done it. They've got over the line. 3 wins in a row now for Newcastle United, who jump back into the Champions League places above Tottenham and over Manchester United on goal difference. 2 second-half goals from Willock and Wilson have won it for Newcastle.
I've got to say, from the first minute, Newcastle have deserved this. They could have scored more. Man United's had one shot on target. They've had some little spells, Man United, not enough sustained pressure. They've tried to catch Newcastle on the break. Newcastle's performance for 90 minutes has been brilliant, cheered on by a very, very passionate crowd, and that's cheered them on that last 20 minutes. And they won 2, John, and they deserve to win more.
Yeah, the black and white flags are out again here at St James's Park in the afternoon sunshine. That's 50 points now for Newcastle, the first time they've got to 50 points in the Premier League for over 10 years. And a very, very good win for them. It doesn't make up for the Carabao Cup final, but they're looking down on Manchester United now in the Premier League table. Newcastle 2, Manchester United 0.
Yeah, Chris Waddle, there's no doubt that Newcastle would have swapped this for winning that cup final, but the response to losing that cup final, crystallised by this performance today, has been remarkable.
Oh, listen, energy levels, the desire. Listen, that must have hurt, that final. I don't care. When you lose a cup final, it hurts. And they've come up today, they've rolled their sleeves up, and they've thought, we are not going to get beat today. And they've worked their socks off and they've been rewarded. I've got to say, I thought Man United will be low par. Well, they'll come out with too many games, too many fixtures, a lot of changes to the team during the game. But Newcastle today take nothing away from their performance. I'm not saying it was a low par Man United. Newcastle were excellent today, and they absolutely deserved this win.
They're going to start to really believe now, John. You know, you can think back, these fans have watched the likes of Juventus here in the Champions League. Dan Burn was a fan in the stands when that happened, Barcelona as well. St James's Park is a stadium with a fan base that suits Champions League football down to the ground, and they can feel it.
Without doubt. I mean, we've seen a glimpse of what it will be like here this season should the Champions League return. But I think for Newcastle, there was a feeling, wasn't there, that there was maybe a bit of a slide on when they lost those 3 games in a row and hit that patch of form and lost players, whether it was injury or suspension. But now 3 in a row, and it feels like they've recovered from that setback and are now back on course.
And not only that, Chris, Isak's come into the team scoring goals. Callum Wilson's had to miss out. Backy comes off the bench, he scores. Another clean sheet as well. You know, in this remarkable season, is this the standout result, the standout performance now?
Listen, they've got a momentum going. The fans absolutely fantastic. The atmosphere. They've got one thing to focus on: win football matches in the Champions League. Man United's got a lot of distractions: FA Cup, Europa League. So it's an advantage Newcastle, especially this today. Mentally, it'll do them unbelievable confidence. Their confidence will be soaring through the roof. They've got to follow it up at West Ham, which is always a hard game. We know West Ham are wanting to get away from relegation. They're going to have to go again, but you just see the confidence and the attitude of this squad, Newcastle at the minute. They're on a mission, and I think they're desperate to get in that top 4.
Back in the clean sheets as well again today.
Yeah,
I'm sure
another clean sheet.
Yeah. First one in 9 matches.
They're on a mission. Are they on a lap of honour, John?
Well, they do this after every match here now at St James's Park. They are going round the ground, the whole squad, to thank the crowd for their support.
The defence as well, Chris. You know, much as, talking to Magic Chris Waddle, as they call you in Marseille, I'd love to just to focus on the wings and the attacking play. But that defence, 19 goals conceded in the Premier League this season for Newcastle. The next closest is Manchester City with 26. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Newcastle's defensive record.
Newcastle's defensive record's unbelievable. But listen, a well-drilled, well-organised. A lot of these guys, look, when you look at Newcastle's squad, people would think he wouldn't get in that team, he wouldn't get in Man City's team, he wouldn't get. They're a very strong group. They're well-drilled, well-organised, and as I said, the determination among them to succeed, it stands out. And what they may lack in certain aspects, they've got that passion, desire. They've got a mass support behind them who they're playing for, and they're getting results for them.
We've spoken so much, Chris, about how Newcastle have dealt with the cup final. Have Manchester United not dealt with the 7-0 against Liverpool?
Yeah, well, I've got to say, when you can see Man United, isn't it? They've got a heavy schedule. I feel for them a bit. If they didn't have a heavy schedule, you'd see a better Man United. But you just saw the day, he's took his two centre-halves off. 1-0 down. So I brought Newcastle on again. They saw more chances. So it's difficult to juggle the pack when you've got injuries. Listen, it's going to be a hard running for Man United. If they want to be Champions League, it's like giving up the FA Cup and giving up the Europa League. They're not going to do that. He wants to win the lot. So they could be the team who miss out on the top four.
Just seen a couple of Newcastle legends applauding the team off the pitch. Shola Amiobi was there as well. Big high five between him and Eddie Howe. Loads of the Newcastle flags out there. The old sort of purple and red and the blue Newcastle star. Remember those from the Champions League days as well. Do you think they're going to do it, Chris? I've got to ask you a question. On a day like this, third in the league, do you feel Newcastle will be playing Champions League football next season?
They're not going to lose many games here either. With this atmosphere and the way the tempo they play out, whoever comes here, they know they're in for a battle, and I mean a big battle. So you're going to have to play very well to get anything here. So you've got to look at that straight away and think, right, well, they're going to win the home games. On the road, I think we've seen they've nicked games 2-1, 1-0. The way form obviously is the thing what may catch them out, but they're not going to lose many games here. So I can see with the running they've got one thing to focus on. Just win game after game. You're getting rest. Next game you'll get a rest. They've just got one thing to play for. I kind of see Newcastle not missing out on the top four at the minute.
Mind you, don't forget Tottenham could be third tomorrow night if they beat Everton.
And on that note, John, Chris, great stuff. Thank you very much. Correspondent John Murray and Chris Waddle inside St James's Park. So Newcastle third in the Premier League table on 50 points ahead of Manchester United on goal difference.